Hello, I'm Alfred Lambremont Webre, and I want to send you warm greetings from Vancouver, British Columbia, to all of the participants, speakers, audience at the Consciousness Beyond Chemtrails conference in Los Angeles, a watershed in our awareness and taking proactive steps to deconstruct this weapon of mass destruction. My presentation is entitled HAARP Chemtrails Weapon of Mass Destruction, Exposing a Spiritual Mass Mind Control and Planetary Assault. Thank you for allowing me to make this presentation via video and via PowerPoint, and I hope that it does communicate something meaningful with some proactive steps that we can all take. There are a total of 63 slides, and I'm told I have about 75 minutes, so it'll be a little over a minute per slide, and I just ask your indulgence if some of the information is not clear. If it's not clear, please email me at exopolitics@exopolitics.com. That's exopolitics@exopolitics.com. I'll be calling out the slide number that I'll be going to so that we can all be on the same page, as it were. Okay, slide number 2. We'll be covering 3 questions here. What is the HAARP aerosol chemtrail plasma weapon system? What are the HAARP chemtrails applications, especially mind control? How can we the people stop the HAARP chemtrails weapon system assault? And I want to express my special gratitude to the researchers and scientists who have contributed to our collective knowledge of this, and most especially to independent scientists Loren Murray, Dr. Ilya Perlingieri, and of course Clifford Carnicom. To slide number 3. Aerosol spraying chemtrails. The covert global spraying of aerosols into the atmosphere, also known as chemtrails, has transformed the Earth's atmosphere into a plasma for carrying out weaponized applications such as biowarfare, including Morgellons disease, electromagnetic operations such as HAARP, weather warfare, tectonic, meaning earthquake warfare, mind control, advanced surveillance technology, and detection of advanced propulsion technology, including UFOs, and advanced extraterrestrial civilizations, some of whom are ethical and attempting to dislodge what I call the International War Crimes Racketeering Organization that is deploying HAARP chemtrails against the global ecology and against the human population. Total control. This is slide number 4. Total control. The overall purpose of this covert operation of spraying aerosols into the atmosphere and converting the aerosols into plasma is to achieve, quote, absolute control over the global human population. This total control is accomplished using the combined effects of 7 weapons-like applications that use the plasma-like atmosphere with weaponized effects on the environment, the biosphere, and the human population. According to expert and fellow speaker Clifford E. Carnicom, the vitality and viability of human existence and life on this planet, as it has been known to exist, is under threat. Slide number 5. 7 applications. These 7 weapons applications of the sprayed aerosols of chemtrails include mass mind control, constituting, in my opinion, as a judge on the Kuala Lumpur War Crimes Tribunal, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide under the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court and under the Geneva Conventions. I'm grateful to Clifford Carnicom for identifying these 7 applications. Number 1, biological operations, including the use of apparent biowarfare, such as Morgellons disease, in the sprayed aerosols. Number 2, military operations, such as advanced radar applications, anti-missile Star Wars applications, and as we shall see, others. Slide number 6. Electromagnetic operations, HARP-directed energy scalar weapons, and mass mind control weapons applications. Now, the scalar weapons applications are enormous. I've been told from sources that the space-based or the space-directed energy scalar weapons operations, and this is a quote, including HARP's ability to blow an asteroid the size of Texas into smithereens. So that shows the power, when used as a scalar weapon, of the weaponized ionosphere. And we'll get more into detail in the presentation on mass control weapons applications. Number 4 of the 7 applications is environmental modification and weather wars. This constitutes a violation of the 1977 Treaty against modification of the environment. Slide number 7. Number 5 of the 7 applications is geophysical operations, including tectonic or earthquake warfare. Number 6 is an advanced of the 7 applications is an advanced surveillance system capable of covert surveillance of the entire human population. Number 7 is detection of exotic propulsion systems, including detection of off-planet advanced interdimensional extraterrestrial civilizations and interdimensional UFOs. And HARP is one of the weapons of choice of interplanetary warfare by the International War Crimes Racketeering Organization that currently believes it controls this planet. There is an 8th possible application, and I'm sure that there are many more, and that is chemtrails may be being used to hide from public view the possible approach, and this is a very controversial issue, the possible approach of a brown dwarf twin star that is a twin to our sun. Our sun may have a dual sun. And there is evidence that the U.S. and international security state has been tracking this twin star since at least 1983 through NASA's Infrared Astronomical Satellite, IRAS, and since 2007 through the South Pole Telescope and the Amundsen Scott South Pole Station in Antarctica. It's not clear that the object in question is our dual sun or is a brown dwarf, because this information is highly classified. But the chemtrails program has the function of clouding the atmosphere so that amateur scientists cannot see this object, and more there are photographs of the alleged object from commercial airplanes flying above the chemtrails layer in the southern hemisphere off Australia especially and New Zealand. Slide number 9. And we'll come to this later, but this ties in with a possible global false flag operation, PSYOPs, much in the same way that the false flag operation of September 11th, 2001. I'm a judge on the Vancouver 9/11 Tribunal, and there may be a false flag operation occurring with regard to this, and in order to try and really trigger what we call catastrophobia and a great amount of fear. There are reports that over 174 underground military bases have been built at a cost of more than $2 to $3 trillion in the black budget. And we have 3 separate studies or probes, a 1971 by DARPA using time travel, and a 2010 one using the largest number of remote viewers, military trained remote viewers in history, that picked up what appears to be a global coastal event in 2013 that destroys global cities like Washington, D.C. or New York or Sydney, Australia. By the same token, although 39% of the remote viewers pick up this global coastal event, 29% of the remote viewers pick up a non-catastrophic future. So from a time science point of view, it appears as though there are 2 parallel timelines. And it looks like there might be a PSYOPs that is out there that the global matrix or powers that be may want to manipulate in 2013 for purposes of rollout of the New World Order. And HAARP, the HAARP chemtrail system, appears to play a part because according to leading edge scientists, for example, independent scientist Loren Murray, you can go to our interviews at ecologynews.com. The massive drought, which has affected 70% of the U.S., quote, the worst in recorded history, end of quote, is actually not naturally caused, but an artifact of the HAARP chemtrail system. Slide number 10. Now, let's get more into what HAARP is, which is an integrated component, weapon system component with chemtrails. We have to think of them as an integrated weapon system. HAARP is an exotic weapon system that is part of the weaponization of space, using scalar wave interferometry, a technology first discovered by scientist Nikola Tesla in the early 1900s. 2 or more longitudinal ultra-low frequency waves are aimed at an intersecting point, at which time they interact in a very unique way, tapping into the limitless plenum of energy surrounding the planet and weaponizing this scalar energy. This is a way to make planet Earth the ultimate weapon of war. Slide number 11. The HAARP chemtrail system has 3 major weapon systems component: a space-based, an atmosphere-based, and a ground-based. Number one, the space-based component is as follows. HARP weaponizes the Earth's ionosphere, the uppermost part of the atmosphere. HARP is a super powerful radio wave beaming technology that lifts areas of the ionosphere by focusing a beam and heating those areas. Electromagnetic waves then bounce back into Earth and penetrate everything, living and dead. Slide number 12. HARP will zap the upper atmosphere with a focused and steerable electromagnetic beam. It is an advanced model of an ionospheric heater. The ionosphere is the electrically charged sphere surrounding Earth's upper atmosphere. It ranges between 40 to 60 miles above the surface of the Earth. Slide 13. Secondly, the air or atmosphere-based component of the HARP chemtrails weapon system. HARP uses the atmospheric plasma created by aerosol spraying chemtrails as a plasma weapon carrier medium and force multiplier for its space-based component, i.e. HARP carries the plasma created from the weaponized ionosphere and is a force multiplier for the space-based weapon component of HARP, i.e. that of the weaponized ionosphere. Secondly, the atmosphere-based component, which is the chemtrails, are a bioweapons and mind control weapon system against the human population. Slide 14. The ground-based component of HARP. So we have space-based component of HARP is the weaponized ionosphere. The air-based component of HARP are the chemtrails in the atmosphere. And 3, the ground-based component. HARP ground stations are camouflaged as research stations, and they energize the HARP weapon system. HARP publicly gives the impression that the high-frequency active oral research program is mainly an academic project with the goal of changing the ionosphere to improve communications for our own good. Now, as to the ground-based component, there are sea-based and air-based ground stations camouflaged as research stations that energize the HARP weapon system. Quote, the military vessel includes power plant, a bridge, control rooms, living quarters. This is the seafaring HARP system. There are about 17 HARP stations, land-based HARP stations around the planet. The military vessel includes a power plant. This is a seafaring HARP, a bridge, control rooms, living quarters, storage areas, and the infrastructure necessary to support the massive X-band radar. The SBX radar is the most sophisticated phased array electromechanically steered X-band radar in the world, according to Boeing. The phased array antenna consists of thousands of antennas driven by transmit-receive modules. The radar is designed and built by Raytheon, Integrated Defense Systems for Boeing, the prime contractor on the project for the United States Missile Defense Agency. Number 16. Now we'll go into some of the aerosol biowarfare, the chemtrails biowarfare. In other words, chemtrails as biowarfare as that function. We're on slide 16. In this chart, we see that barium, quote, in this chart, we see, this is from the Ted Twitmeyer study, we see that barium is 278 times the toxic limit. This is in from Phoenix Particulates in 2008. Copper is 98 times the toxic limit. Manganese is a staggering 5,820 times the toxic limit. And zinc is 593 times the toxic limit, i.e. these toxic metals are a form of biowarfare against the population in the footprint of these chemtrails. Slide 17. This again is from the Ted Twitmeyer study in Phoenix, 2008. Quote, in this chart we see that the barium, again, is 278 times the toxic limit. Copper is 98 times the toxic limit. It has also been proposed to release large clouds of barium in the magnetosphere so that photoionization will increase the cold plasma density, thereby producing electron precipitation through enhanced Whistler mode interaction. This is part of the HAARP chemtrails weapon of mass destruction system. Slide 18. Again from the Ted Twitmeyer study of Phoenix, 2008. Here we see that cadmium is 126 times the toxic limit, chromium is 282 times the toxic limit, and nickel is 169 times the toxic limit. The permissible amount of cadmium in the environment is equivalent to 10 parts per billion. So that is, we're dealing with 126 times that in this one study. Slide number 19. Again, from the Ted Twitmeyer study in Phoenix, 2008. Aluminum in chemtrails is 6,400 times the toxic limit. Iron is 28,000 times the toxic limit. Manganese is 5.3 times the toxic limit. Potassium is 793 times the toxic limit. And sodium is 15.9 times the toxic limit. Again, this is totally done without any environmental impact statements, any health reviews, and constitutes war crimes, genocide, and crimes against humanity under the Geneva Conventions. Okay, now we get to UFO and chemtrails. This is a subject which is of interest and for which there is lateral research that I can share coming from my role as a judge in the 9/11 Vancouver Tribunal at the 9/11 Vancouver hearings that were held several months ago. Over 20 expert witnesses on the false flag operation of September 11th, 2001 gave testimony. In the top photo, that relates to a video. You can Google it by Googling UFOs and fake tanker airplane. We have UFOs masked as tanker planes spraying chemtrails. And there is research evidence of the use of holographic making technologies to mask or cloak UFOs spraying chemicals as tanker planes. They're cloaked as tanker airplanes. The technology was also used during the 9/11 false flag operation when a UFO was remotely guided into the World Trade Center tower. Holographic masking or cloaking technology was used to make the UFO appear as an airplane when filmed from the ground. When filmed from above via helicopter, the UFO appeared on film as a UFO. These chemtrail spraying UFOs may be either remote guided UFOs of the U.S. Black Budget Fleet charged with the chemtrail depopulation program, or an intelligently piloted black budget of a black budget or negative extraterrestrial UFO. So we don't know if they're piloted or if they're remote controlled, but they appear to be UFOs. And when you see them from the ground, they're cloaked with cloaking technology, holographic cloaking technology, to look like tanker airplanes. And in the bottom, you can Google this on video to see UFOs attack chemtrails tanker. There is research evidence of a UFO attacking a chemtrail spraying airplane tanker or holographically masked or cloaked UFO spraying chemtrails while in flight. The attacking UFOs may have an exopolitical dimension and be part of a strategic attack on the chemtrails program by anti-chemtrails forces within the black budget, so-called white hats, or by friendly, ethical extraterrestrial civilizations that do exist. People can go to my website, exopolitics.com, if you want further documentation and information on exopolitics, the science of relations among intelligent civilizations in the multiverse. Slide 21. HAARP and mind control. A HAARP chemtrails combination primary use is for mood and mind control of the human population, either on a regional, national, or global basis. The goal of this HAARP-engendered mood and mind control is the entrainment of the human brain and mind into acceptance of reduced civil liberties, reduced economic prosperity, democratic prerogatives in the service of an anti-democratic banking and political elite that I call the global war crimes racketeering organization, because that's what they are functionally. Number 22, HAARP and mind control. The HAARP atmospheric plasma weapon system and aerosol spraying chemtrails are carrying out mind control against the human population on a global as well as national, regional, and individual scale. These mind control operations include biological operations, including the use of apparent biowarfare mind control agents in the covert global aerosol spraying program, chemtrails, and through electromagnetic operations, including HAARP mind control weapons applications. These constitute war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide under the Geneva Conventions and the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court. Number 23, mind control, biological operations, and covert global aerosol spraying chemtrails. According to one source, quote, the term mind control has been applied to any tactic, psychological or otherwise, which can be seen as subverting an individual's sense of control over their own thinking, behavior, emotions, or decision-making. By this definition, a powerful global covert mind control program is being carried out against the global, national, and regional populations, as well as individuals, through the biological operations of covert global aerosol spraying, chemtrails. The sprayed aerosols, chemtrails, contain the following amounts of toxic chemicals. The effect of these toxic chemicals on the mental, psychological, and emotional functioning of the target population is to, quote, subvert the individual's sense of control over their own thinking, behavior, emotions, or decision-making, end of quote. Slide 24, HAARP and mind control. 2010 air particulates, antimony, arsenic, iron, and manganese. These figures indicate how many times these toxic elements are over the allowable toxic limit. Aluminum, 15.8, antimony, 63.3, arsenic, 418, barium, 5.3, cadmium, 6, chromium, 6.4, copper, 9, iron, 43.5, lead, 15.7, manganese, 513.8, nickel, 10.7, zinc, 7.5. These toxic substances, in turn, lead to and subvert the individual's sense of control over their own thinking, behavior, emotions, or decision-making, and constitute the fundament of HAARP mind control, biological operations, and covert aerosol spraying. Slide 25. Global aerosol spraying has transformed the atmosphere that our human population breathes into a plasma. Breathing this plasma with the above toxic concentration of chemicals has been shown to lead to the following behavioral abnormalities that, quote, subvert the individual's sense of control over their own thinking, behavior, emotions, or decision-making, end of quote, and hence can be considered a mind control program. Now, I'm going to quote from a colleague of mine who's a presenter at this conference, Dr. Ilya Sandra Perlingeri. The following mind control impacts of aerosol spraying, chemtrails, are drawn from Dr. Ilya Sandra Perlingeri's preliminary report of February 3rd, 2011, to the Board of Advisors of the Carnicom Institute on the impacts of the covert aerosol spraying program as a biowarfare program. The mind control impacts of manganese aerosol spraying chemtrails are, number 1, hallucinations, forgetfulness, schizophrenia, dullness, headaches, insomnia, languor, sleepiness, weakness, emotional disturbances. And Dr. Perlingeri says, how many people who have caused public disturbances and or have behavioral outbursts are actually suffering from environmental chemical injury due to poisoning from heavy metals or other toxic chemicals, but are being treated like criminals, end of quote. Slide 26, cognitive impairment and brain damage. Quote, it is well known that aluminum causes cognitive impairment and brain damage. It takes years for this damage to become evident. During that time, it works its slow but insidious destruction on the brain. But even in the beginning, Muddled thinking is noticeable. Why are so many people acting odd? Many more people appear to have a very short fuse. Quote again, why do our children have an epidemic of autism, ADD, ADHD? Why are so many of our young children on long-term prescription drugs for behavioral cognitive troubles? Why are millions of adults on years of antidepressant drugs? I bring this to the attention of the U.S. presidential candidate for the Peace and Freedom Party in the audience, Roseanne, whom I have listened to on her announcement and read her platform. And this is a matter that she can bring to the attention of the U.S. and world public on the platform that she now has as a presidential candidate. Thank you. Slide number 27. For other impacts, attention, forgetfulness, short-term memory, impatience. 4 things are very obvious. This is again Dr. Perlingeri and her report to the Board of Advisors of the Carnicom Institute. Number 1, human attention has dropped dramatically. Number 2, people are very forgetful. Number 3, short-term memory has been affected. Number 4, far too many people are impatient and have very short fuses. For many people, thinking and thought processes are very difficult issues to contemplate and even discuss. No one wants to be told that he is not thinking clearly. Even if there are scientific data to support this, it is a concept that goes right to the very heart of who we think we are. It is not you. It is the result of what is being done to all of us. However, it is easier to attack the messenger than comprehend the enormity of military government involvement, especially since nothing is reported by mainstream controlled news. It is easier to dismiss valid information or be on the defensive rather than take personal responsibility for critical issues that already are detrimentally affecting our lives. Slide number 28. HAARP and mind control. HAARP chemtrails engendered mood and mind control are supplemented for targeted applications via mind control software operated through Gwen towers, police antennas, cell phone towers, cell phones, computers, and other personal electrical devices. Slide number 29. Where are the chemtrail aircraft based, let alone the remote-controlled UFOs? That might be Area 51. We don't know. Edwards Air Force Base, Point M Naval Air Station. That's where the UH-1H helicopters are based. Nellis Air Force Base, Tucker Air Force Base, Plattsburgh Air Force Base, Andrews Air Force Base, Hickam Air Force Base, Kirkland Air Force Base, Langley Air Force Base. The chemtrails flights originating out of Langley Air Force Base are for experimental soups and for laying in on the tri-state area around Washington, D.C. Peterson Air Force Base, Osan Air Force Base. Who is funding Operation Cloverleaf, Operation Raindance for chemtrails? Answer, the National Security Agency, the NSA, otherwise known as No Such Agency. HAARP and mind control. Yes, it is true that NSA can remotely track people if they know the specific EMF waves evoked potential from EEGs in the 30 to 50 hertz, 5 milliwatt range of each person's bioelectric field. Each person's emissions are unique, just like their fingerprint, palm print, and their voice print. This means that the NSA can remotely track anyone in public. And yes, it is true that the NSA's RNM system can remotely send brain stimulation signals which create visual images, subliminal audios, what appear to be audible sounds and thoughts into people's minds. Yes, it is true that the bodysuits of implants are used to control people's minds and bodies as well as track them. Yes, it is true they have voice prints of hundreds of thousands of Americans or more and can identify and track their computers as well as all communications in the United States as well as other nations. The National Security Agency, this is slide 31. The National Security Agency has a monopoly on monitoring the evoked potentials emitted by people's brain electrical flux, which are electromagnetic emissions in the 30 to 50 Hertz milliwatt range. When a person thinks or moves their body or sees something, the brain creates an evoked potential or set of evoked potentials. These emissions can be decoded to see what the person is thinking or doing. This is called RNM, remote neural monitoring. It is reported that the Kinnecombe group at the NSA is involved with this type of monitoring around the clock of victims of electronic mind control using EMF equipment that is scattered across the nation. A signals intelligent EMF scanning network allows the NSA's computers to pinpoint and track any individual in the United States by watching for their specific bioelectric field. In many ways, the tracking implants and the national ID cards are redundant, and the HAARP chemtrail system is a major global, marked global, with the 17 global HAARP stations tool in this global monitoring system. Slide 32, HAARP and mind control. Naval intelligence and other groups have conducted research into ELF waves upon the human body and mind. Some of the many things that can be done to the human body and mind with ELF waves include putting a person to sleep, making a person tired and depressed, creating a fear in a person, creating a zombie state, creating a violent state, creating a state of being sexually aggressive, changing cellular chemistry, change hormone levels, inhibit or enhance mRNA synthesis processes, control the DNA transaction process, control biological spin and proton coupling constants in DNA, RNA, and RNA transferences. Slide 33 of 63. I see that I'm only have about half an hour left, and I'm only at slide 33. We're on slide 33 of 63 now. So I'm going to go very quickly now. HAARP and mind control. ELF waves at 60 cycles per second. And this is all controlled through HAARP and can be used along with other systems, cause subjects to become emotionally upset, and it can be directed to help incite riots. Slide 34. This is how the controllers of HAARP, how it is a spiritual war. And this is a map of what you're seeing is a map, according to the research of Dr. Carl Johan Kalaman of the University of Washington, of the mind calendar, which is really a consciousness map. And it's a map of the waves of unity consciousness that are modulated through the singularity in our galaxy, which is the black hole at the center of our galaxy. All galaxies have a black hole. The Mayans called the black hole in our galaxy Unabku, sort of the mother of all creation. And The controllers of HAARP are intentionally attempting to block the Earth's population from accessing consciousness waves of unity consciousness through their upper chakra systems. We all have these kind of silvery cords that go through our crown chakra by using the HAARP chemtrails mind control system. They're trying to block God or Source. That's the purpose of HAARP. Slide 35, the planetary assault applications of HAARP. Slide 36. HAARP is a space-based weapon of mass destruction. When I say HAARP, it's the HAARP chemtrail system because they both act as an integrated weapon system. The death toll of environmental warfare attacks by the HAARP chemtrails weapon system on Indonesia 2004, Myanmar 2008, China 2008, Haiti 2010, Chile 2010, and Japan 2011 is on the scale and exceeds that of the Hiroshima nuclear bombing. 37. Official Japanese figure put the Hiroshima death toll finally at 140,000. The death toll in the May 3rd and May 13th HAARP triggered environmental warfare events in Myanmar and in China, earthquake respectively, total an estimated 215,000, more than 215,000 people. Slide 38. In the HAARP triggered earthquake and tsunami of 2004, more than 280,000 persons died. It was one of the 10 worst earthquakes in recorded history. And do you remember the victory lap that Bush Sr. and Clinton took around their HAARP bombing? 39. Slide 39. The estimated death toll for the May 3rd, 2008 weather warfare Myanmar cyclone was about 146,000. The death toll for the May 12th, 2008 China earthquake, we call that the summer Beijing Olympics earthquake because they do it as a psyops around any Olympics, was it left 4.8 million people homeless, although the number could rise as high as 11 million, and almost 70,000 people were killed. The HAARP triggered earthquake, which was like a bomb site delivered nuclear weapon of January 12, 2010 that we call the Vancouver 2010 Olympics, Winter Olympics, HAARP bombing. 316,000 people died, 300,000 were injured, 1 million were made homeless. It was a pinpoint accuracy with a HAARP bomb. They flattened the Haitian government, presidential palace, the National Assembly, the cathedral, the main jail and prison. The objectives were destruction of the Haitian government so that a Rothschild-controlled company could obtain petroleum and gold deposits, the rights to petroleum and gold deposits under Haiti. The government of Haiti had been unwilling to allow Rothschild-controlled companies to exploit these. Slide number 40. This is the Japan Fukushima nuclear HAARP false flag operation of March 11th, 2011, which has in effect created a radiation hazard in the oceans and in the atmosphere of the northern hemisphere as a massive depopulation event. There's a cover-up of this, and you can go to our interviews with independent scientist Loren Murray at ecologynews.com. I recommend that the Peace and Freedom Party look at Loren Murray as an expert in this area. That shows how the US and Canadian government have been covering up this intentional assault by ferrying the radiation from Fukushima across the Pacific using HAARP's weather warfare capabilities and then dumping it on the US in tornadoes, where rain was discovered in World War II to be the most effective way of nuking a population. Number 44, more of Fukushima. The most targeted areas are the Western food baskets in order to radiation poison future generations of the population and weaken them for the New World Order. And both the US and Canada have taken down their radiation monitoring. They have sent physicians orders not to monitor for radiation. Fish now on the west coast of North America are unsafe to eat. There's a cover-up and no reporting of true radiation levels. I myself spoke to, personally, I called up the office of Dr. Sanjay Gupta, who was supposed to be recommended as Surgeon General under the Obama administration and is the Director of Medical Studies for CNN, Chief of Medical for CNN. He was out that day, and I spoke to his executive assistant, and I recited all of these facts, including Center for Disease Control peer-reviewed data, and she just went into denial and refused to pass on these reports. And the reports included the fact, again, you can go to ecologynews.com, that independent scientist Loren Murray concluded, based on CDC data, which was backed up by other independent researchers, that over 100,000 unnecessary deaths occurred in the United States in 2011, according to CDC data, because of Fukushima radiation that had been dumped down over the US. Slide 46. Now we're going to go to slide 47. The radiation cover-up, health update, stay indoors. This is according to experts. Stay indoors as much as possible. Eat miso soup. And this is what I do. Eat miso soup and seaweed and kelp every day. Take chlorella every day, and seek out the best holistic advice online. Now, biowarfare, HAARP, chemtrails, and biowarfare. Quote, January 22nd, 2011, this is slide 48, was the first Chemtrails Awareness Day. Now we have 20% less sun and mostly a blanket artificial clouds filled with toxins. The catastrophic health effects of manganese, we've mentioned those: hallucinations, forgetfulness, nerve damage, Parkinson's, lung embolisms, bronchitis, schizophrenia, dullness, weak muscles, headaches, insomnia, obesity, glucose intolerance, blood clotting, skin problems, lowered cholesterol, skeletal disorders, birth defects, changes of hair color, neurological symptoms. That is biowarfare against the population. Chronic respiratory, slide 49. Chronic respiratory coronary illnesses and cancer. Chemtrails, which are hazardous materials, have created multiple illnesses, dramatic increases in chronic respiratory and coronary illnesses. Coronary illnesses, now the leading cause of death in the U.S., can be traced back to chemtrails. Transmissible spongiform encephalopathy, TSE, and BSE, mad cow disease. And Purdy has documented that a high dose of manganese and the resultant low dose copper may be the cause of BSE and other forms under the nomenclature TSE. This also includes the human forms of TSE, Creutzfeldt-Jacobs disease, often known as VCJD. And we want to thank, again, our fellow researcher and speaker at this conference, Clifford Carnicom, who said, quote, "There is no epidemiology on the number of individuals who have died or become ill because of aerosol spraying chemtrails." And I want to thank Dr. Carnicom for the excellent interviews that he did with me on Exopolitics TV. We have in slide 50, acts of HAARP chemtrails-induced environmental warfare also include the Kobe, Japan earthquake of 1995, the two NASA shuttle disasters, the Columbia in 2003, the Challenger in 1986. If you want details, go to ecologynews.com, our interviews and articles there. They include Hurricane Katrina of 2005 that was steered in just like a video game into New Orleans, where my family is from. I did an interview with Governor Jesse Ventura for his show. We stood on the levee of the 9th Ward, and we talked about it. Piers Morgan of CNN, who presidential candidate Roseanne was just with, he called me on the air a crackpot and crazy for saying that Obama was a third-generation CIA operative, which is provable, and that this government was behind the false flag operation of the BP oil spill, which I said there and was recorded and was broadcast with Governor Jesse Ventura on his show. The World Trade Center molecular dissociation of September 11, 2001, otherwise known as 9/11, HAARP is central to that. You got the earthquake of 2007. Again, go to ecologynews.com. This is a case study, HAARP's role in 9/11. You can go to my articles at exopolitics.com. On the right-hand menu, it says 9/11. Just click on that. There are a series of about 6 or 7 articles that show all of this. Again, we'll be having an indictment of the principal culprits behind 9/11 come out as part of the 9/11 tribunal later on in 2012, beginning of 2013. The HAARP had to be used there along with mini nukes. This is slide 53 because of the energy budget. Chemical explosives do not provide a large enough volume. As Loren Murray says, you can't get more energy out of it than you put into it. The energy budget requires a directed energy weapon like HAARP and mini nukes for the nanoparticles and molecular dissociation that took place of the World Trade Center towers on September 11th. Slide 54, again, we're looking at more of that analysis of HAARP. Slide 55, again, we wagged the dog with our most advanced weapon on 9/11 HAARP to bring down the Twin Towers and launch a worldwide war of aggression, the war on terror, and a worldwide domestic police state. HARP and depopulation. Here we have the Rothschild family above the bloodline, along with 13 other families that control the city of London, and their new North American contractors, the Wall Street bankers led by the Rockefellers. And below there we have Elizabeth Windsor, who was under indictment by the International Tribunal for crimes into church and state, along with what many observers believe will be the New World Order planetary king, Prince William. And HARP is an instrument controlled by an international war crimes racketeering organization. HARP's purpose is to help implement a depopulation policy of up to 2/3 of the current world population, a covert policy developed by bloodlines centered in the City of London, the Rockefeller groups, and the UK monarchy. You can go to exopolitics.com, and that will take you to interviews that go into why Prince William, who appears to be so angelic, is being groomed for this New World Order role. And here we have the coronation of Elizabeth Windsor, who in October of 1964 came to Kamloops, British Columbia, in the province where I live, with her consort Prince Philip, went to a First Nations Native American residential school, chose 10 children, said, "We'll take you away to a picnic by the river." Those children were never seen again in their lives. This, according to eyewitnesses, Michael Coombs. We have that testimony on tape. And those children were either killed in satanic ceremonies or sold into sexual slavery. How can we, the people, stop the HARP chemtrails planetary system assault? Number one, exposing it. And that's what we're doing at the conference here. Tell your family, friends, and networks. Write articles, conferences, Facebook, Twitter. 74% of the North American internet population is now on Facebook. Remember back in the 70s, late 60s, when the AIDS epidemic started, their motto was "Act up, silence equals death." There's the photo of the commercial airline pilots protesting against chemtrails this year. That's the kind of stuff that has, is of great effect. Slide number 60. Enforce the Environmental Modification Convention. All of the parties that are spraying chemtrails and using HARP are parties to it, or their agents are. And all that we need is to have that enforced, and the HARP chemtrails weapon system would be silenced overnight. So it's enforcement, and just put pressure. It's enforcement of the Environmental Modification Convention. We have the law to do it already. All that we need is enforcement. We now go to slide 62. And publicly commit to the positive timeline. 29% of the remote viewers in the 2010 study saw a non-catastrophic future for the planet. We're on a positive timeline, and it's this hierarchical power structure that is attempting, through HARP and through chemtrails and the depopulation program, trying to get World War III off the ground, to make us think that they can depopulate us, to get us into world wars, and just commit to the positive timeline and move into it, because that is what nature and the universe and the multiverse is promoting. And finally, the final slide, you can reach me at exopolitics@exopolitics.com. My website is exopolitics.com. I want to thank you very much, and may the force be with us. Thank you. I'm Alfred Lambremont Webre, wishing you a wonderful day and expect miracles, because life is a miracle.